Jimmy's storyline continues to set up some very scary potential consequences for him, so we'll see what he's getting himself into. Damage Control appears to be back on the brink of falling apart again, so we'll see what's new there. We'll also check out the shoutout to Sasha Banks. Let's start things off with Jimmy and what he continues to get himself into. Like we discussed last week, Jimmy's story and usage was a bit confusing and hazy immediately following SummerSlam. But the September 29th edition of SmackDown and the last few weeks of SmackDown has made Jimmy's story extremely clear. Jimmy continues to be on a massive power trip and there's nobody there to stop him and put him in his place, so he's only getting more out of control as time passes. The September 29th edition of SmackDown kicked off with Paul Heyman and the Bloodline bragging about what they did to AJ Styles and John Cena. But as Paul Heyman is speaking, Jimmy Uso interrupts, but in a very telling and unique way. Jimmy holds his hand out and does Roman's signature pose of requesting the microphone from Paul Heyman. When Roman does this pose, Paul Heyman immediately stops what he's saying and hands the mic over to Roman immediately, with a look of fear all over his face. So with this recent direction and story of Jimmy thinking that he's the tribal chief, he mimicked that gesture from Roman to get the mic from Paul Heyman. Paul Heyman hesitated to give the mic over to Jimmy because Jimmy obviously isn't the tribal chief, and Paul Heyman doesn't want to get into trouble with Roman by treating Jimmy as if he was the tribal chief. Heyman holds out the mic in his hands until Jimmy once again snatches it out of Heyman's hands. So, talk about setting yourself up on some scary consequences. Jimmy mocked Roman's mic gesture and once again disrespected Paul Heyman. Two things that Roman Reigns will not be pleased by at all when he makes his eventual return to WWE. But getting back to the segment, Jimmy continued to take charge and present himself as the leader of the Bloodline. Carl Anderson came out to try and avenge AJ Styles, and Solo Sikoa seemed ready for the match, but after speaking briefly with Paul Heyman, they decided to let Jimmy handle Carl Anderson. Jimmy gets the win, and Solo even attacks Carl post-match. Maya Yim and Jimmy have another face-to-face on the entrance stage that ends up with Maya knocking Jimmy out with a slap. And after that, Jimmy and Solo continue to wreak havoc on the locker room all night long by taking out every superstar in sight backstage as a method of making sure that John Cena had no one to partner up with at Fastlane. Jimmy led the way and his brother Solo Sikoa followed right behind him and they took everyone out. Jimmy and Solo would even come out later in the night to attack John Cena, but Cena was saved by LA Knight, who also signed the contract and will be Cena's partner at Fastlane. Although Jimmy has actually done some pretty impressive things in recent weeks, such as take out AJ Styles and lay out John Cena, he's done a lot more bad than good. The way he forced himself back into the Bloodline without Roman approving the mood, the way he carries himself as the tribal chief, how he's been making all the decisions for the Bloodline without Roman's approval, disrespecting Paul Heyman on multiple occasions. It's just been looking like an entire recipe for destruction that will conclude once Roman is obviously back. Roman may not be around, but he's well aware of everything that's been going down. Paul Heyman continues to give him phone calls multiple times throughout the shows to give him the intel on what's happening. And like Heyman even reminded Jimmy about earlier this year when Jimmy was acting sneaky, the entire show is broadcasted and Roman Reigns can just watch the show back whenever he wants. Everything Jimmy is doing is literally being recorded on a broadcast. So it's not like Jimmy can deny all of those allegations that Roman will present him with because the proof is literally documented on film. So Jimmy will have quite a lot to answer for once Roman is back. Jimmy thinks everything is normal and truly thinks he's back in the Bloodline, but a rude awakening is definitely coming his way in these next few weeks here. Roman Reigns is expected to return on October 13th, so Jimmy has at least one more week to act crazy and out of control before he gets put in his place by Roman on the 13th. As usual, Bayley and Damage Control are once again not exactly on the same page. It was Bayley versus Charlotte Flair on SmackDown, with the stipulation being that if Charlotte can beat Bayley, then Charlotte would get a title match against Iyo Sky at Fastlane. Charlotte Flair did end up pinning Bayley, which did grant her that title match, but Bayley wasn't done there. After taking that embarrassing loss, Bayley said that Damage Control was still going to end Charlotte. So they all circle the ring and get ready to attack Charlotte, but she's saved by Asuka. After Asuka gets on the microphone and goes off on a rant, Bayley responds by volunteering Iyo Sky to not only defend her title against Charlotte Flair, but against Asuka in a triple threat match. Iyo Sky was understandably confused and questioned Bayley for throwing her into a triple threat match, when that didn't have to be done at all. Bayley said that's what Asuka was talking about, but Iyo Sky, who understands the language more than Bayley, insists that Asuka wasn't saying that at all. And this is once again another huge issue for Damage Control. A triple threat match is every champion's worst nightmare, because the fate of your title isn't really in your hands at all. You can lose your title without even being involved in the closing moments of the match, and this is why champions always try and avoid that match. So for Iyo's own close friend and fellow Damage Control member to voluntarily throw her under the bus into a triple threat match is the eye-opening thing that really puts Bayley in the hot seat for what her true intentions really are. If Bayley cared about Iyo's title reign and wanted to protect it, she would have never thrown her into a triple threat match against two of the greatest superstars like that. So now that Bayley has done that, we have to once again start asking some questions we've asked in the past. Is Bayley so jealous of Iyo's title reign that she's now trying to get that title off of Iyo Sky in any way possible, while gaslighting her at the same time? It's still pretty early to tell, but no real friend will place you into a triple threat match to defend your title. So if something goes wrong here, and Iyo loses her title to either Charlotte Flair or Asuka, we're to assume that Iyo would be extremely upset with Bayley, because the match would have never been a triple threat if Bayley didn't open her mouth that night on SmackDown. But on the more positive side of things for Damage Control, they're getting a returning member back real soon, with Dakota Kai. Dakota is already back on WWE television and has teased getting physical a few times over the last few weeks. But the truth is that she's still not cleared for physical contact at the moment. But she has said that she's on pace to get cleared and get back in the ring by January, February. So with Damage Control really falling apart right now at the moment, it's still unknown if the group will be around by the time she's cleared, but she'll be ready to pick up the story wherever it's at by then. And another side note for something that took place during the Bayley versus Charlotte Flair match on SmackDown. Fans noticed that Bayley quietly paid tribute to her old friend, Sasha Banks, during the match. Bayley hit the corner double foot drop on Charlotte, which is a well-known signature move from Mercedes Arsenal. So it was a nice little shout out to Sasha there from Bayley. But what are your thoughts on all of today's stories with Damage Control, Jimmy, and Roman Reigns? Leave your comments below. Don't forget to subscribe with all notifications on, and leave a like if you enjoyed. Thanks for watching, guys.